guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for visiting my channel. My name is Brenda and I will be doing videos on all kinds of things, whether it be from shopping and unboxing to car stuff to traveling to just hanging out, whatever it is. So yeah, thanks for finding me. Today's video is different than what I will be making and what I have made in the past, but it's a video that I feel like I need to make because I think every one of these types of stories or testimonials or whatever you want to call it, I think are important, especially when it comes to religion. I know that there's a lot of different religions out there, but I'm Christian and that's what this video is going to be about. However, well, I'll get into that in the video. So I'm making this video because I was out today and I heard some people talking, and they were talking about how a couple of them does not believe in God. They don't believe in heaven. They don't believe in any of that. And they're like, no, if I can't see it with my own two eyes, I don't believe in it. Nothing has ever shown me. And I thought, wow, like, I mean, yeah, I just thought, wow. And so I ended up getting to the register where they were, and the conversation went on, and then one of them just kind of was like, right to me. And I was like, no, not right. And they were like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? And so I told them the story that I'm about to tell you guys and how I became such a believer. And I mean, I'm not wearing this cross just for this video. It has nothing to do with this video. But so I lost my parents when I think my dad passed away when I was like 21. My mom passed away when I was 22, maybe 23, but I think I was still 22. And so I got angry with God. And previous to that, I had an experience in church where I was like 15 years old and somebody had taken me to a Pentecostal church. And it was, a friend of mine and her mom. And they, like, when I say they, I mean people that were sitting there in the church service. And then the people that were on the stage, they started doing like this whole thing where they were jumping around and falling on the ground and shaking. And I got so scared because when I was growing up, my dad wasn't into church. He was into more Native American things. And my mom, she would send me to church, and I would go to, Baptist churches and things like that. So I had never been around the Holy Ghost and all of that stuff. So it freaked me out to the point where I literally got up and ran out of that church because I didn't know what to think. I was freaked out, and I kept seeing somebody like running down the aisles and touching people, and they would fall out, and I was like, no, God, don't touch me. I was freaking out. I didn't know what to make of it. So I ran out of the church and I didn't go back. So fast forward to back to where I was saying my parents passed away when I was young. So I actually got angry with God because I was young and I wasn't living with my parents anymore at the time, but I don't know, I just didn't understand like why it had to happen. Like why my parents, why me so young, why my mom had to go so soon after my dad. Like it was just a whole thing. So I got so far away from God that I started getting into more of like Wicca and things like that, thinking, oh, it's not bad, but like it's all white light stuff and this and that, because there's a difference between the light and the dark and all that. You have to know it to know those things. So I got more into that. I got more into like the spiritual things, and I kind of got so far away from God that I didn't even believe anymore until about 2016, when I was really far into the Wicca stuff. Like I had the witchcraft books, I had the Wiccan books, I had the what all the stones mean, and all this different stuff, right? And I collected these books, and I would go to like these stores where they had all of this stuff and the sage and all that, which I'm still into my sage and my stones, but not in that same manner that I was into them. So you fast forward on to 2016, I'm so far away from God that literally some people knocked on my door trying to get me to go to a church. And I was like, I was like not happy about it, and I didn't say anything mean to them, but I was just like, no thanks, I'm not interested, and I closed the door. Partially I was like upset that they came knocking on my door. My dogs are going crazy. I have signs out say no soliciting. So not that, I mean, it wasn't good. So once I closed the door, I was like, wow, I was like, that was, you know, not nice. They were just trying to get me to go to church. But again, I was, so far away from God. It's not even funny. So fast forward maybe like, I don't know, a little, some months down the road. And I'm laying in my bed, and it's like 7 o'clock in the morning in November. And I'm like, all I hear is like, I'm laying there, and all I hear is go to church, 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 go to church. That's all I'm hearing in my head. And I'm trying to go back to sleep. And I'm turned over, and all I'm hearing is go to church, go to church, go to church. So I'm like, oh, okay, fine. And so I turn over, I grab my cell phone, and I start looking up churches. And I see the church that I passed by every day that was down the street from my house. And I was like, okay, I'll go to church. Okay, fine. So I put the phone down, I get up, I go out into the kitchen, and I find my son. He's at the table, like eating cereal or something. And I'm like, hey, will you go to church with me today? And he's like, Mom, I'm sick. I can't go to church. He had a sinus infection. And he goes, are you sick? And he actually felt my head to see if I was sick. I said, no, I'm not sick. And I told him the story, what happened, about how something in my mind keeps telling me, go to church, go to church, go to church. And he's like, I tell you what, if you don't want to go today by yourself, because I hadn't been to church very long time, very, very long time, like 15. That was the last time I actually went to a church other than a couple of funerals. So he's like, okay, if you don't go today, I'll go with you next Sunday. I said, okay, fine. I said, I'll go next Sunday. So later that day, it was like, all I could think about was going to church, but I didn't go that day. And went out with some friends, my husband and I, and we were eating lunch, watching football, and my husband gets this phone call that his son had passed away. It was his son's mother. That his son, my stepson, had passed away. At 7 o'clock that morning. That same time that something started telling me, go to church, go to church, go to church. 7 o'clock in the morning, same time. Obviously, my husband was distraught. I was distraught. I was shocked. Like, obviously more than you can even imagine unless you've been through it. Like, there's like no words. But it was all so strange and so odd that it happened in that way. So, yes, that very next Sunday, I was in church. And my son went with me, and I'm sitting kind of towards the back. The church wasn't huge. It was like a little community type of a church. So it wasn't huge, but it wasn't very, very tiny. But there were quite a few people there. And so I decided to sit towards the back because I'm new there, and, I wasn't all that comfortable yet. I know I'm saying that about church, but I wasn't. I wasn't yet. So I'm sitting there, and the pastor, he's, doing his thing and talking, and like right in the middle of it, he stops, and he's like, there is somebody here today. He said, and I'm feeling it, and God is talking to me, And he wants you to know that he's glad that you listened to his message and that you came here today like you said you were going to do. And he's so happy. And he literally looked right at me. And I'm telling you, I'm like towards the back. He looks like right at me. And he said, whoever you are, he said, please, please come to the front. God wants to talk to you. And like, oh, see? No, I'm not gonna get emotional here. So I don't know, like, well, I do know now what came over me, but something came over me. I literally stood up in the middle of all of these people, all of these like complete strangers to me. I just, it was like I wasn't moving my body. It was like something else was moving my body, and it was, but at the time I didn't realize what it was. But here I go. I'm like going and I'm crying, like pouring, just just crying, like it was insane. So I go to the front and I'm like hit my knees and I'm like crying, and he's like, the pastor is over there and he's talking and he's like praying with me and all of this stuff. And I mean, I when I got up and left, I left my purse over there. I mean, I was in church, so it should be fine, but who knows? But point is, I left my bag. I left my son. Like my son, he next thing I know, he's next to me, and trying to console me because I was a basket case. But at the same time, it was such a good feeling. Like it was such a warm, relaxing. Like I don't know if relaxing is that's not the word to use. It was just a warm, welcoming, like hug of a feeling. I can't even describe it. All I can tell you is it felt so amazing. And I was just like beyond myself. Like I was just crying everywhere. Praying, and the preacher, he's praying with me, and his wife is there and everybody is praying. And oh, man, it was just such an amazing moment. And I realized that was the Holy Ghost that had me. That's There's nothing else. There's no other way I would even think to explain that. No other way. And I was like, unless you felt it, oh man, if you haven't, I really, really hope that you get the opportunity to someday, because it was incredible. It really was incredible. So that became my church. Like I was there every Sunday. I was there. My kid would come sometimes. My husband, he would come on occasion with me, but I was there every Sunday. I loved that church. And then I had to move back to South Florida. I was living somewhere else at the time, another part of Florida. And so I had to leave the church behind. But I miss that church to this day. Trinity was the church. I know a lot of them are called that. Um, so when I got here, I also went through something else that I'm going to make another video about. That I had to have surgery to where I couldn't get into bodies of water until I was healed. So I wanted to be baptized at that church because I had never been baptized in my life. Like my dad had the Native American beliefs, and not that he didn't, not that he wouldn't have let me do it or anything like that. I didn't grow up quite like that. So I had never been baptized. So I wanted to be baptized. So when I got to South Florida, I found a church that was something that I liked. Um, and I started going to that one. And then that's where I got baptized, which was another beautiful thing. I was like so happy to do that. And I got baptized on the coldest day that we had in Florida in the wintertime. It was freezing that day, and I did it outside. It was like an outside baptism. And I have a great video of that too, that my son took for me that day. He was there, of course, cheering me on. But I'm so happy that it was that cold outside when I did it, because it made me feel even more connected and even more solidified in it. But that was like a turning point in my life. And it's really made such a difference in who I am, who I became. Because prior to that, like, I wasn't with the best people. in my life. Like, I just wasn't, you know. I was around people that I just wasn't around the best people. But finding God, I mean, wow. Like, it was such a turning point in my life, and I'm so thankful for it. And there's like something else that happened too when people say, "Oh, God sent a guardian angel," it was my guardian angel looking out for me. I had something like that happen to me as well, which goes with the part in this video where I told you about the surgery that I had that I'm gonna make a video about as well, because that was another thing that just like solidified my beliefs even more, as if I don't know that you could any more than that, but it did. Like, it all just kind of comes together. So my point to this is, if you feel lost, if you feel like you don't believe, or seeing is believing, all this type of stuff, I beg you to look for God. Like, look for God, pray to God about signs and things like that, because man, did he find me in the time I needed him. And prior to that, like, September, October? In September, my sister had passed away. And she was like a mom, a best friend, and a sister all rolled into one. So a lot of things were going on, and I needed God. I didn't realize I needed God, but I did. So, I don't know. I think if you feel like you're lost and you feel like your faith is gone, pray. Pray and look for God. I'm not saying you have to go to church every Sunday and all that type of stuff, because even I don't now. I don't go to church every Sunday. Do I go sometimes? Yes, but I don't believe that you have to go to church every Sunday to have your place with God. I don't. Like, I feel like God and I were like this. And so I feel like if you feel lost and you feel like you need something in your life and there's nothing good going on, pray and find God, because I promise you it will change your life. It will. You have to like truly believe. So I feel like I was lucky for all of that. And yeah. So yes, this video was quite different. But I felt like it was something that I wanted to put out there. I wanted people to hear it, because I tell that story every chance that I get when it comes up. I just had the conversation in, where was I? David Yearman recently, when I was buying my son a cross, like, for his birthday. I was having this same conversation with this woman, and I mean, she was telling me her stuff that happened to where it solidified her belief in God and heaven and Jesus, the whole thing. I mean, it's all one, but yeah, it's just amazing. So thank you for watching my video. Please give it a thumbs up, and I will be making something probably completely different for the next video. So if you'd like to see more, subscribe. Alright, thank you so much for watching.